you should do. But we do. And like attendance, for example, was one of our big focuses last year as a whole district. And our attendance was really improved. And again, just by the simple thing, like I was on a meeting and it said, well, we could, this study says we should do this, we should do that. I'm like, keep it simple. Make the kids feel seen, heard, and loved, and they'll come. Like if they want to be here, it's nothing, it's not brain surgery. Just keep it simple. When you see them in the hallway, tell them how nice their shoes look. Tell them how, that shirt's really cool, or who's your favorite team kind of thing. Like those kind of things keep the kids coming back. I had one student that we were driving somewhere to a swim meet, my daughter's swim meet one night. It's beginning of the school year this past year. And my wife said, oh, I heard you met so-and-so's daughter. I'm like, oh, I did? And she's like, yeah. She said you talked to her about something, whatever. I'm like, oh, did she have a Band-Aid on her finger? She was going to the nurse. And she said, yeah, she said she was on her way to the nurse. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't know who it was at the time. I know her now, but I didn't know who it was. She was walking through the hallway going to the nurse, and I just stopped and said something quick, like 10 seconds. And she went home and told her parents about it, like seen, heard, and loved. It's pretty simple. Um, the other thing we did before I share our numbers with attendance, but we did January and February. I think for a lot of folks, this year was a very sickly month. Our attendance was way down, and we always announce our attendance percentage every day and everything, and it was down in probably low 80s. And we're usually this year we've been up around 90 or 94. 94 is our goal usually, but in January, February is down really low, but kids started to feel better, we knew, and kind of the sickness thing was going away. So we did Jostens' idea of the March attendance madness. We took the attendance from February of each classroom and we seeded all of the classes to go up against different classrooms. I made this big, humongous bracket, just like March Madness, put it up in the cafeteria, and the kids would come in every day and look at it. We put the percentage of each class, and then class with the highest percentage on Friday for that week would move on to the next week, take on the next class. There was teachers trash talking. It was great. Like they were pumped up about it. We actually got a traveling trophy made for it, so we'll do that again next year. And the other thing we do for attendance this year is if we get 96% attendance or above, then we had TVs installed in our cafeteria, and we'll put movies on. I joke with our cafeteria staff. Again, that's free. It's easy. I joke with our cafeteria staff because I'm like, yeah, you get to see the same 30 minutes of the movie 4 times. We have 4 lunches. Said, do you go home and watch the rest of it afterwards? Like, no, we can't stand the first 30 minutes of it because we watch it all the time. But the kids know it. We put LED strip lights around, and so we turn the lights off, movies on, and we'll announce, hey, 96% today. And you know what that means? We're watching the movie. And the kids will come in some days like, hey, what was our percentage? What was it? Like if they're asking, they care, they're thinking about it. But no, our attendance, regular school attendance rate was up 10% from last school year. So it's a pretty big jump when you figure, 400 students. Another interesting one last year, and I think this was back in May, we had a meeting mid-May with something. We shared these numbers with them. Last year, mid-May, we had 119 students with 10 or more absences, which is the ones, you focus on more than 10 absences, chronicle absences. So 119 students had 10 or more. This year, we had 69 students with 10 or more, which is incredible just to see that especially though, again, because that's the habit they get into. The students who constantly miss it's more comfortable being at home, and it's just easier to stay home. And for parents, it's easier not to fight with them, but they actually want to be there. Our March attendance madness, we had a second grade. They were in the final four. They made it to the final four, but the teacher came in, she's like, yeah, I had a parent call me and say, we rescheduled our doctor's appointment to after school because a kid didn't want to miss school for a doctor's appointment. I'm like, oh, you can actually do that? Like, look at that. Like, but the parent was kind of laughing about it. And again, they showed appreciation for it. So definitely helped. And in this diagram here, we said students are feeling seen, heard, and loved, and we believe the improvement in attendance is due to positive relationships at school. And that's Jostens. Our ODRs, office discipline referrals, major referrals were down 45% this year. That's big. Like,
Wow.
and again, those are majors, down 45%. Last year we were at 439 major ODRs, and this year we were at 241. So again, there's still some minors and everything, but you're always going to have some of those. But majors dropping that big, that's huge. I mean, it's just let the numbers talk for themselves. 65% of our students, that's 258 students, had 0 ODRs for the whole year. Like that's something that there's a lot of schools that don't have 258 students in them. 258 students. And again, that's what the public needs to see. Instead of putting PSSA scores and everything else in the paper, we need to get this stuff out there for the public to see that, look, it's working. And again, those scores will come. That's if you do this first, they'll come. They'll just naturally come. But you have to take care of this first. Couple more numbers. 84% of our students have 2 or less minor or major ODRs. So 2 or less total ODRs, 84%. That's for a whole year. I mean, that's a whole year. 94% of our students have 2 or less major ODRs. So uh, definitely numbers that kind of speak for themselves, and definitely Jostens playing a huge role in the motivation that they give you, the inspiration, the ideas, the partnership, the relationships, definitely paying off.